Last week we dynoed the car, so we put it on a chassis dyno. One thing that you need to understand, when you dyno a car at the rear wheels, there's a loss in power. So when you measure a rear wheel horsepower and torque on a chassis dyno, the numbers will be lower than when the car is measured at the crankshaft. So when they put an engine on an engine dyno, they're measuring horsepower and torque at the crankshaft itself. Then there's a driveline loss. So now you have to power the transmission and the axles and the wheels and everything else that's attached to it, which all takes away horsepower and torque. So you will yield a lower number. What is that number? We don't know for every car, because every car has a different driveline. So we don't know what it would be on this Tucker, but we guess maybe 20%. It's just a rule of thumb. I mean, there's no real evidence that 20% is accurate or not, but it's just a rule of thumb.
The purpose of dynoing the car was really to evaluate the condition of the engine and drivetrain to make sure that it's at least in the realm of the corrective amount of power and things that it should be making. So that was really the primary reason for the dyno test. But the results were pretty interesting, and I think it was a surprise for a lot of people to see a Tucker on a dyno.
So we dynoed the car without doing any tuning or repair work or anything, just as is, just as we received the car, and it made 90 horsepower. And Mike Tucker found some old dyno sheets from back in the 40s, and the car showed 100 horsepower at the crankshaft. So we're not really far off, and I think that that we could probably find the rest of the power. Also, you have to realize that we did it on modern pump gas. We were told that maybe they ran the cars on aviation fuel back then when they dyno-tuned them under perfect conditions, which is totally believable. Because when you're going to dyno test a car that you're trying to sell to the public, you want the best possible number, so you will make you'll take every advantage you can. So fuel and air conditions and all that kind of thing will be taken into consideration. So I think that 90 isn't a bad thing. The car made huge torque numbers because that's what this car is about. It's big cubic inches. It's an opposed 6-cylinder engine. Made great torque numbers. We imagine that these cars would cruise down the highway at a low RPM, have plenty of torque to move that big body, and it's just a great engine. So we were happy with the dyno results, and I think that we could probably even find a little bit more power in it, but we're not in a situation where we're upset or scared about what we're faced with.
I miss it. I miss the baby, but it's good to see it on the internet, see it on Facebook, and seeing progress being made in the car every week. So that's kind of neat, and it's great to share it with people too.